Welcome to the VWell Podcast, real conversations with our experts about our mission to revolutionize wellness in body, mind, and soul. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to another edition of the VWell Experts Podcast. I'm delighted to have my friend here today, Payal, who's going to talk about all of the wellness modalities and work she shares. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Edward. It's so great to be here with you today. So nice to see you.
Thank you. So tell us about what do you do in the wellness world? What do you share with other people?
Yeah, I would love to. I love that because you are literally been one of my teachers. So, a lot of this comes from my work with you, but I focus on teaching yoga and meditation. I have gravitated over the years to teaching restorative yoga. So that's been great, helping folks really move into their parasympathetic nervous system and relax. I also practice Reiki, so I give Reiki treatments. I'm a Reiki master. God, what else fun things do I do? I am an Akashic record reader. Try saying that 10 times.
Mm.
Um, Gosh, yeah, and then I incorporate a little bit of crystal healing, a little sound healing. So those are some good ones, I guess, to begin with. Yeah.
Those are so interesting and they overlap. Do you do them separately or do you tend to combine them when you work with people? Because this is all obviously one-to-one sessions on VWell. So if you're working with someone, will you combine modalities?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just really depends on what the person is looking for. If they're looking for something physical, I believe the yoga kind of works in its own way, like a sort of very movement based, obviously, like getting into the body in that manner. If they're looking for something more in terms of just meditation, they're looking to clear their mind in a particular way and they want more stillness, then maybe just a meditation session with cues around mantra and breath and object and this type of thing. If they're looking for maybe like energy work, then a Reiki session would be great. An Akashic record reading is more conversation about their soul, and maybe they have questions about any number of things, and that's sort of a different way of doing things. So, have I combined things? Sure. I've combined a restorative yoga class with adding some Reiki to it. I have combined yoga with crystals and sound. So yeah, there can absolutely be an overlap, but um, I guess I like to just really know what the person is looking for. And then there's a bit of like a toolbox, and then you kind of grab the tool, I would say. The one thing that I will say also is I do have something called Blessed Rest, which is based around an affirmational card deck that I created, which does kind of layer a bunch of these things. So we do a little bit of stretching, a little bit of meditation, maybe some drawing, some gratitude practices. That's kind of a whole other thing.
Mm. So let's take some of those things and define them for people who may not know. So everyone has heard of yoga, but it's in the name, but could you explain to people who don't know what restorative yoga really is?
Yeah, of course. I think restorative yoga is basically a bit like a giant nap. So, um, it's really getting people to relax and to relax not only in their mind, but very much in their bodies. And so I feel as though in this kind of climate, we're all kind of go, go, go. We're very heightened. There's a lot of cortisol release. The restorative yoga practice is really one of stillness and really one of being able to arrive to center and to come home a little bit, just to land your body, your mind. Um, and when you're able to do that, we could get more into that, but the organs reset. There's just a whole kind of internal, interior, kind of physiological effect of restorative yoga. And again, that would be using props. You could use a pillow, and almost cuddling up with yourself.
Mm. Mm. That's great. And what about Reiki? Again, it's a healing modality that I have known, but many people it's new to. So could you explain what Reiki is and how you work with people with Reiki?
Yes, thank you. Reiki's wonderful. It comes from Japan. It is not about me transferring my energy to you. It is about me helping you rebalance your energy. And a Reiki session could look like many things. You could be sitting, you could be laying down, but essentially, you're receiving uh, a kind of, I guess, like a balancing act where I place hands on you or hover them over your body. And by doing that, again, through this tradition, it helps, I would say, again, regulate your nervous system. You're able to, I'm not putting energy on you, but through this beautiful kind of art of Reiki, your own nervous system comes back to a place of balance and ease.
Mm, great. Tell me about, if you can, what your own wellness journey has been. How did you become interested in this? How did this become part of what you do in life?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I started off as a dancer very early on in my life, so I've always had a relationship to movement, and that relationship to movement always helped me. I was an anxious child. I have anxiety now also as an adult, and I found the yoga practice through, I guess, a year in my life that was pretty rough in terms of my anxiety.
Mm,
And so yoga has helped, again, help me with self-regulation. And I would say my journey began probably when I was really young. I don't know that I would call it a wellness journey, but that ballet and dance really helped regulate me. So I always had that sense that movement would help me somehow. I have quite an overactive mind. And again, when you have anxiety, you're always kind of worrying about everything, basically everything. And so, yeah, but as an adult to like make that choice, let me try a yoga class and then feeling the effects right away that, okay, this practice of moving and breathing in a kind of rhythm not only takes me out of that anxious mind, but also right away situates me in a really comfortable and secure place in my body.
mm. Great. What were as you grew and what were there any sometimes it's people, sometimes it's books or resources or both, but what has really shaped you in terms of what you do?
Thank you. Well, my family comes from India, so the ancient tradition of yoga comes from India, as we all know. My mother and my father were both very spiritual human beings. Unfortunately, they are no longer with us. But I learned a lot just by being with them. I think that my mother read a lot of Krishnamurti, who's an Indian author, and I would read his work as well as a teenager. Blades of Grass. It was always kind of this very meditative experience to read his words. I grew up as a Hindu. We were very spiritual. I guess the biggest influences were both my mother and my father, and just the culture, I suppose, that they raised me in. We had we had a temple at home. We prayed. Yeah. Was there a particular text? I mean, again, growing up Krishnamurti, I think as an adult now more like Pay My Children,
Mhm.
When Things Fall Apart is a really great resource. Tara Brach. I feel like now I've kind of gone more into like Buddhism in some ways too. So yeah, I would say that my family has been a big influence towards hoping for a sense of balance and ease, in my life. Yeah.
Excellent. Is there any wellness modality, no judgment attached, that you've tried and just thought this just is not for me?
You know, I I have tried things. and everything has been quite fine. But I will have to answer this slightly differently. What I have not tried and what I don't think I will try is this cold plunging
Okay.
scenario. I just think I don't think so. And so that's what I have to say. I don't think I will ever try a cold plunge because I think I'll get very cold and I'm worried about it. So I might not, I might just let that one be for others. Yeah.
I love that. I respect that. It's good to know that that's just probably not for you.
Yeah.
I love that. A lot of times, different modalities or different parts of the wellness world or traditions have sort of rules, oftentimes in quotes, like this is the way you should do things. Is there any rule that you love breaking or that you do differently or that you found your own way of doing in any of the modalities you use?
I mean, honestly, I'm sort of a rule breaker. So I don't really believe in rules anyway. And I don't really know what rules would be for wellness because I mean, well, the one thing I would say is do anything with some regularity. If you're going to try to, have a quieter mind, then, it would be nice if you meditated more than once a year. I believe in the sense of practicing and practicing and practicing to the point that you have the time and that you have the interest. But in terms of like a particularity or a specific way, I find that anyone who's extremely strict around any parameter of the way you need to hold a downward facing dog for how long, or what meditation is supposed to be or feel like, or that you can only meditate if you are, I don't know, only using a particular technique, that's just not for me. I think it's really what works for each person, and that is so unique. And so I really say scratch the rules, like tear them up, burn them, forget about them, like, but yeah.
I love that. And sort of alongside that, is there any kind of phrase or word or saying that you find yourself using frequently with students that they're like, "Oh, that's so Pyle," like that kind of thing? Like, do you have a
Yeah.
catchphrase?
Yeah, gosh, it's such a good one. I guess there I think for me, people would say like she's really lovey-dovey or she's really, yeah, she's into like love and taking care of yourself. I mean, my whole thing is self-care and really trying to remind folks that they can take really good care of themselves and that they are. And um maybe I would say, you know, something around being loving to yourself or yeah, throwing your arms around yourself or being very kind. Maybe I say to be compassionate to yourself quite a bit. If you could,
Mm,
yeah, as a hope, yeah,
mm.
for that to feel or embrace.
What's the best compliment you've ever received from your work?
I think I'm an earth sign. I think people feel very grounded around me.
Mm,
And so I think a compliment could be like, well, you have anxiety? What? Like, you're so grounded. You're so, you know, and I think, well, I'm like, well, that's kind. No, I really struggle. So I really appreciate that people think or feel a safety around me or a sense of landing or a sense of calm. I think I get that, like your voice, you have the most amazing voice. I feel so calm when you speak and oh, okay. Um, so something around that, I think I'm able to help folks get really grounded. Yeah.
excellent.
Sure.
Excellent. Um, looking back, is there advice that you would give to your younger self, whether about the wellness journey and how it's going to play out, or it could be in general, but like what have you really learned that you wish now that you wish you knew then?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really understand anxiety when I was younger. I don't think we named it, so I didn't really know what it was. I think now I would tell my younger self, this is what you have. It's not who you are. Like, it's not that any kind of difficulty isn't that like it's not a character defect. It's just the way my body is made, perhaps, to feel a little sensitive in certain ways. I would tell my younger self that it's not your fault, and everything's going to be great. Like you're going to get through things with flying colors. You're going to get to where you need to go and give that younger self some confidence and some love, but also say that you're not bad because you have anxiety. You're not bad because you're emotional, right? I would tell my younger self that these are all really beautiful parts of who I am too.
Mm, it's great. Um, if you were stranded on a desert island and you could bring one piece of wellness equipment or something to help you with your practices, what would you take?
I don't know that, I mean, stranded island, that would be really, I think I would hope that I would remember to breathe
Mm,
in a way because I would imagine that would make me nervous to be on my own in a desert island. I'm not super naturey, unless there were like lots of amenities and snacks and like I don't know. If it's just me and I have to, put sticks together to make a fire and go try to grab a fish and I don't know. I mean, I think I would be rather terrible at all of this. I think I would need many a tool, but okay, let's say whatever. I would say I would really hope that I could connect back to breathing and particularly um, having the longer exhale, which turns that parasympathetic, relaxed mode on. So
mm,
I
mm.
would hope to really breathe well on that island.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, most people listening may know the term, but can you explain what the parasympathetic nervous system is or the response and how that works into your work?
Yeah, of course. So there's two modes that we live in. We have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The sympathetic is great. These are both great things. We always, again, we have this homeostasis. The body's always looking to balance itself. But however, we tend to live more in one of these systems, which is the sympathetic, where it's kind of more of that adrenaline rush, the go, go, go. It's kind of what gets us going. But unfortunately, we are too much in that system. And so when we're too much in that system, the chemistry of the body shifts, and there's a lot of like cortisol dumping. There's a lot of kind of there's a bear in the room all the time. Well, there isn't, there isn't an ability for the body to recover from so much of a kind of alertness, if you will. And the parasympathetic system is sort of the opposite. It's when your body is resting and digesting. It's when the heart is beating well. It's when everything is kind of not being stressed, so to speak. And you achieve that in many ways, but you achieve that through anything from holding a yoga pose where you can really relax yourself into. It could be achieved by, some chanting, a vagal kind of response or vagal toning. Um, but you could just imagine that the parasympathetic is when you are kind of allowing yourself to nap versus when you are trying to sprint to the next meeting. It's just two very different modalities, both very important for us as human beings, but we tend to live more in one. And therefore, it can cause a lot of kind of system breakdown, if you will.
Mm,
This
mm.
is this and that. So we really need to cultivate and nurture and spend time in the parasympathetic in order to heal.
Great. What do you see as the biggest general misconception that people have about wellness, about these practices?
Yeah, I think that people, well, might think that they can't reach for it, like it's somehow external to them. Maybe you have to have a lot of money. Maybe you have to just be able to touch your toes. And if you can't, wellness is out the door. But really, it's that it's accessible to everyone because we're breathing and just simply like showing people or assisting them or teaching them that maybe if you exhale, longer or if you, do some kind of box breath breathing, 4 counts in, out, holding. If you teach, and again, these things cost nothing. If there's a way of accessibility, that wellness is really for everyone. And the misconception is that it's for the elite or that, someone can't reach for it. But, you know, yes, I know things cost money, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that wellness is really within everyone. Like, is a potential within everyone.
Mhm.
And even being able to close your eyes and put your timer on for 1 minute and seeing if that, begins if that begins a practice of meditation, and then again the next day for another minute, and then that it is accessible, that it's within you, and that you can try lots of different things, right? It's not one size fits all. Maybe yoga isn't for you, but maybe meditation is. Maybe cold plunging isn't for me, but acupuncture, so that there's a whole range of things that might work,
Mm,
and to
mm,
give it a try. Like, you don't have to be good at this. This is another thing. Like, you don't have to be amazing at wellness, but just give it a try.
mm. Great, great. This is a question I ask everyone. And in quotes, what is your favorite, in quotes, unhealthy food?
I don't know if there's just one, but I am a big snack girl. I just love snack, snack, snack. So I love dark chocolate. I love popcorn. Now I know this doesn't sound too unhealthy in a way, but honestly, that would be my unhealthy foods. It sounds a little boring, but dark chocolate and pretzels and, popcorn, just snacky items.
There you go. And what about your favorite healthy food?
Well, I love my morning routine of yogurt and berries and peanut butter. I just feel that it's, helping my microbiome and giving me some energy for the day. So I love that morning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, what what impact do you want your work to have on people? Like what gets you out of bed in the morning to be like, I'm gonna keep doing this?
I I guess it's really nice to help people help themselves. And there's just a lot of satisfaction in seeing people come walk in, have things on their mind, be in distress, and to leave a class, a session with me, a conversation with me, even, and to see that they are visibly lighter
Mm,
and to see that they feel more hopeful. I just want to help people. I think I always have.
mm,
Um, I think it's really important to support one another. It's crazy out there.
mm. Yeah. And finally, my last question for people is, as we're launching VWell, and depending on when people hear this, we're close to launching, we'll be launching soon. When I approached you and said, "Would you like to be one of our founding experts?" What drew you into it about the idea of this, what we're doing?
Well, Edward, this has a lot to do with you and my relationship with you. I think you are an incredible person. I have learned so much from you over the years. I've had so much fun with you over the years. I think anything that you do, I believe in, and I would just be honored to be a part of. Um, and I love that my understanding of this company is that it is accessible. You can be anywhere in the world and receive what you may need. And I would love to be a part of that. That's so much of my ethos, and it's just exciting. And I'm, again, just so honored to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone. You can check out Pyle's listing on VWell for the many modalities she's offering. I'm delighted to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. Me as well. Thank you, Edward.
Thanks for joining us on the VWell podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share it, subscribe, and stay connected at vwellnow.com. See you next time.